Francis, have you heard about this Steve-O and Mike Tyson story of recent?
I glanced across it this morning on my morning rundown.
Yeah. So GQ had an interview with Steve-O, the infamous, I can say either infamous or famous, depending on which way you looked at the Jackass, the show and the movies.
Yeah.
Notorious prankster and stunt guy, Steve-O, who struggled a long time through those movies with addiction to a copious amount of different drugs, has been sober now for a good amount of years running. But that did come with a past with some ridiculous stories, some of which awesome, some of which are so mind-bendingly unbelievable that you have to really read into them and really think about how this happened. But one of which is in regards to how him and Mike Tyson solved racism in America. At least that was the headline. But basically, I have the quotes from the interview itself. Bear with us, Francis, some reading to be done. He was talking about getting invited to a party, or walking into a party he wasn't invited to. I've done fucking cocaine with Mike Tyson, dude. We spent 3 hours locked in a bathroom together. There was this house party in the Hollywood Hills, and I remember I was distinctly not invited, but I showed up and rang the doorbell. Mike Tyson opened the door and said, "Hey, is it cool if I come in?" And he said, "You got any coke?" Or Francis, can you do the Mike Tyson voice?
You got any coke?
Thank you. And I told him, "Yeah, dude, I got a bunch." And I did. I had like a whole 8-ball in one pocket, half an 8-ball in the other pocket. He continues to say, "I was packing, so we locked ourselves in this bathroom. So there we are, and he asked me for a cigarette while I was chopping up a bunch of blow on the counter."
Hey man, you got a cigarette?
He rolled it back and forth between his fingers, and all the tobacco fell out, and he kept doing it until nothing was left except a tube of paper connected to the cylinder. Continues, and he turned it right side up and started scooping cocaine into it like pure cocaine. Nothing but, and I'm fascinated. I'm thinking that this can't work. It boiled down to the most fucking gripping science fair project ever. He filled it until it was fucking full as fuck, and he made it work, man. He sat there and smoked the whole deal. Apologies for the language that is present in the quotes from it. They later go on to talk about how Steve-O drops the N-word on him, he's like, "I feel at this point like I can call myself the N-word." And Mike Tyson said, "I agree. It's just how whoever's using it, as long as you're using it against your own self or putting yourself in that position, it's fine."
Yeah.
So do a bunch of blow, get locked in a room with Mike Tyson, which I don't understand how that's a good idea. Anytime Tyson was in a ring, that's a bad idea. Francis, is this the most unbelievable story you've heard Mike Tyson related?
I mean, when you were even I've read it this morning. This is the second time that it's been read, and it's even better when someone reads it to me, because your mind just starts to wonder, like,
it's not a bedtime story.
That's what it feels like. I'm so captivated in it. Like, it's his description as well. Like, I filled it till it was full as fuck, and then he fucking took it until
like
it was
it's a science fair project.
Like, I mean, his description of it has got a talent for it. There is some stories that you hear out there on the media, and you think to yourself, "There's no way in hell that happened." This is not one of them. I absolutely can envision this. I am currently envisioning it in my head. And it seems, although I would never do it, and I don't condone anyone who does it, a pretty hell of a time, according to Steve-O, that he was in there. I don't imagine that the conversations, even though this one was a serious conversation that took a kind of fun spin on it, the way they were talking to each other, maybe a conversation that if more people had together, it could promote some better positivity when it comes to the issue. But I imagine that I would like to have been a fly on the wall and seen how that conversation came about. I imagine Steve-O had to seriously get some form of courage to even say that to Mike Tyson, like, I feel like I'm one of you. And then, like, kind of waiting to see what Mike Tyson would say. And he's like, "You are."
What you have to take from this is that if you show up at Mike Tyson's house or Mike Tyson's party in the hills uninvited,
you know what the party gift
make
is.
sure your pockets are full. Or you're not going to be able to hang out with Mike Tyson and solve the racism problem.
I want to know, did he say when this was?
He did not mention exactly when, but it was obviously during his time when he was not sober.
Yeah.
And I think he's been sober for the better half of the last decade. I think it's approaching 8 years. So, by the way, there's also linked in that Complex/GQ, that's who was kind of talking about this story, a pretty funny video in regards to Mike Tyson and the maids in the hotel rooms before the Dustin Douglas fight. So have a look at that interview, too, via Jimmy Kimmel.
Jinx here with Complex News. On Wednesday night, Mike Tyson fell through Jimmy Kimmel Live. During his time there, Kimmel brought up Tyson's bout with Buster Douglas.
And now he's trying to back Mike up.
No.
As of February 11th, the memorable fight is now 25 years old. With that in mind, I'm sure many of you don't know, but Iron Mike lost that match and the heavyweight title.
Oh, the uppercut.
What an uppercut by Douglas, and down goes Tyson.
The fight went down as one of the biggest upsets in sports history, let alone boxing, and served as Tyson's first loss. But years later, Tyson has no ill will about the fight. He actually admitted that he probably could have been a little bit more focused.
And I heard you weren't focused necessarily.
Well, I tell you, I get carried away sometimes. I had some.
As you may or may not know, boxers typically keep a very tight and disciplined routine the closer they get to a fight, keeping their physical and mental sharp. Not Tyson.
Oh, man. I'm in the hotel. They won't let me out the hotel. They just let me go to training and come back like I'm some Neanderthal and I can't associate with people, so I had to hit all the maids. And I guess hitting means having sex with the maids.
I know what you mean.
I don't want you to think I'm hitting the men. I'm hitting the men. I'm not hitting them.
Always honest, Mike shared even more details.
They were so ugly, too.
All right, so an obvious wild tale from Steve-O. If you've seen any of his documentary footage, some sad, some great, his storytelling ability is top-notch.
Yeah.
Like, it's always been there. He's always been fun.
Can we replace him with our Steve-O?
I think, well, I'd like to see our Steve-O do Steve-O-like stunts.
Put it in place. We'll
All
get
right.
a sponsorship. We'll put it in place.
We'll get the 8 ball rolling.